And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick alongside Katie Greifeld here to take you through to that closing bell with the global simulcast. We're joined now by Carol Massar and Tim Stenovec. Welcome to our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms. That's television, that's radio, and that includes our partnership with YouTube. And for those folks watching right now, if you are confused as to why Tim and Carol were out of the fishbowl and into a new aquarium, well, there you have it. You're getting a little bit of room, Carol Massar, to swim.
A little bit. We're the same people.
You got a new
though,
studio.
okay?
How did you finagle this?
We know important people. What can I tell you?
Apparently,
Okay.
it looks good.
It's still the important thing is it's still us. You're still stuck with us, okay?
Yeah. I'm still going to stumble as I speak.
I feel like the magic of the simulcast was the old fishbowl.
Well, you know what? If it's open. So if you'd like to go there. No, we're going to try and keep the magic that the four of us have, because it's certainly something we love to do. Hey, having said that, nothing really magic, I feel like, in the markets today. I feel like we're just limping along when it comes certainly to the equity trade and a lot of asset classes out there. But we do have some data coming our way, although as we talked to our Mike McKee earlier, it's not going to necessarily be complete. So we're not quite sure how it will shape the trade going forward.
Yeah, a little bit of an incomplete and late data, better than no data, but still kind of weird tomorrow, Katie. Carol mentioned not much of magic in today's market. Mm-hmm. Also, if you look at Bitcoin, that 93,000 didn't hold for very long. We're getting close to lows for the year.
Yeah,
if you look at Bitcoin today.
It's brutal out there when you take a look at the cryptosphere, especially over the last year. As you mentioned, Bitcoin, it could finish up on its lows of the years. We'd have just a couple weeks left.
As we get the closing bells here in New York, it is going to be red across the screen for most of the major indices here in the U.S. and some key technical levels now being tested to the downside. You take a look on the far right of your screen, the NASDAQ composite down about 138 points and change, down about 0.6%, but more importantly, now firmly below that 50-day moving average. The S&P stopping just short of that 50-day moving average, but still losing about 11 points or about 0.2% after hitting that record high last week. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, we'll basically call it flat on the day. It's down roughly about 41 points or about 0.1%. And the Russell 2000, that's your main laggard here on the day, lower by 21 points or 0.8%.
All right. So though only a little bit lower on the S&P 500, you did actually have 281 names to the upside on this Monday. And Katie, about 218 names losing ground.
All right, let's take a look at the sector level. It's interesting, even though it was a down day at the index level, you had more green than red when it comes to the sector level. Healthcare having a great day, utilities, consumer discretionary also enjoying in that rally. In terms of what didn't do well, and this is the important part, information technology off by about 1%. Broadcom still nursing losses, and that was a big weight on the index overall, Carol.
All right, so let's get to some of the individual gainers. Courtesy of my co-host, Tim, I'm doing Tesla, which is a top gainer in both the NASDAQ 100 and S&P 500. Maybe it's something about December, because at one point rallying today that if it had closed, it would have been its first all-time high close for the stock this year, but it did not make it, but still up about 3.5% in today's session. So we'll keep a watch, see what we have. We still have a few, what about, are you yawning?
No.
No. He was yawning.
I wasn't.
He was yawning. Anyway, we could see we could see an all-time high for Tesla for the
I'm
first
just wondering,
time
you
this
only
year.
have 3 gainers today.
I know. Well, what can I
What
tell
is
you?
it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm
It's the
feeling
end of the year.
a little mellow. Yeah, exactly. Mellow Monday. Hey, let's go to KLA Corp. It is up 2.6%. It was up as much as 5% in today's session, finishing with a 2.6% gain. Upgraded to buy from hold at Jefferies, which sees AI tailwinds for the semiconductor capital equipment company into 2026. This is Blaine Curtis over at Jefferies. He actually likes a bunch of chip companies. I just want to throw them out there because I think KLA was really the only one that rallied in today's session. He also likes Broadcom, NVIDIA, and KLA. He said they are among his best chip stock ideas for 2026, but KLA Corp actually outperformed me today. Sorry.
Say KLA one more time.
No, I know. Okay.
Thank you.
What stock was that about? It's nice to know new studio, but like some things
Same
never
old
Let me
change.
just say, your shot actually looks great, Carol.
That's
The
amazing.
lighting,
You know,
and you don't have that
you
camera up your nose.
You
thing,
flood
so-
enough people with white light, and
Yeah.
it gets better.
I like it.
Thank you. Caverna Therapeutics, for something a little bit different. It is a small cap, so don't judge me. Ticker is KYTX. This went up 23% in today's session, about $490 million market cap. Shares soaring after the company said its phase 2 trial of its drug for stiff person syndrome achieved statistically significant clinical benefits across all primary and secondary endpoints. The stock is up about 200% year to date. So, yeah, it's a small cap, but I just thought it was interesting.
Okay, let's go to some of the decliners. The worst performer in the S&P 500 today, ServiceNow, down 11.5%. This after Bloomberg News reported that the company is in advanced talks to buy Armis, a cybersecurity startup, a deal that could be valued as much as $7 billion. That deal could be announced in the coming days, this according to people familiar with the situation. Discussions, though, may still fall apart, or another potential bidder may emerge. ServiceNow down 11.5% today. And then we saw real estate stocks take a hit today. Zillow Group and CoStar fell. CoStar owns Homes.com. This as Google tested a new real estate advertising format that could rival Zillow's services. Google putting for sale listings directly into search results, and the functionality includes full property detail pages, as well as links to request a tour and contact an agent. This is according to a report from global real estate tech strategist Mike Del Pret. CoStar shares fell 6.6%. Zillow shares fell 8.5%. The feature appears to be a test. It's only live in a limited number of markets, and right now, only on mobile. And finally, how about a bankruptcy? Luminar Technologies, LAZR is the ticker, taking a hit today, down more than 60%. This after the company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, agreed to sell its Luminar Semiconductors to subsidiary to Quantum Computing Inc. for $110 million cash, subject to higher offers. The company entered bankruptcy with support from 91% of her first lien note holders. Luminar will use $25 million in cash on hand to fund operations during the sale process. Yeah. Shares taking a hit today, down more than 60%.
Let's take a quick look at yields here. Not a whole lot of activity, about 1 basis point lower on the short end of the curve, a slight uptick on the long end of the curve, a bit of a holding pattern as we await the next data points coming out of the government, including that monthly jobs report, which will now be tomorrow on Tuesday.
Tuesday jobs day. Isn't that kind of weird? It doesn't even feel right, but we'll take it. We'll take it. Let's get to some stories on our radar. Rest in peace, Roomba maker iRobot. The company filing for bankruptcy. It's going to go private. I mean,
yeah, it's not rest in peace. It's still around.
Well,
it's just not going to be public.
Yeah,
did you read the great profile the New York Times did of the inventor of this, Rodney Brooks?
No.
Yeah, it was great. It was over the weekend, and kind of they call him the godfather of modern robotics, and it was more about the idea of how far robotics has come, and the idea that there are so many limitations. But of course, this against the backdrop of the company that you just mentioned, Carol, that he founded, now going bankrupt and going private.
Yeah. How would things have been different had Amazon been allowed to actually make this acquisition back in 2022?
A lot different. I do believe most of the analysts on Wall Street here. And yeah, I mean, there was a lot of concern. I mean, in all seriousness, that Amazon, when they bought it, there was a lot of optimism, but then there was a lot of criticism in the years after that, saying they just didn't really, there was no follow through, right? I mean, you couldn't get the deal done. No one was there to save them. And, they didn't have a lot of investment coming from their parent.
Yeah. Super sad, super sad. We do have some
still
headlines crossing on Ford.
You can still buy one, Carol Massar.
Do you want to do the headlines
I'm just
on Ford?
letting you know.
Do you want to do the headlines on Ford?
Yeah, we should. Breaking news on Ford. Basically a $20 billion charge being taken by the company, $19.5 billion to be specific, according to Bloomberg reporting. An overhaul of the company's EV strategy. This is a sweeping overhaul, we should say, with regards to the money and the attention that it had put into those new EV models, like the F-Series, like the Ford Mach-E. Apparently a bit of a rollback in that strategy, a refocus now on hybrids and, of course, gas vehicles, all of it leading to a $19.5 billion in charges. Ford saying that in a statement.
Just fascinating to see how, the traditional big three automakers have been handling their EV efforts, trying to catch up with Tesla in a way here. You can see that Ford shares moving a little bit higher after hours, up about 2% right now. I will point out that 2025 has been pretty kind to Ford, higher by about 48% on a total return basis so far this year, and certainly extending that right now.
We're going to hear from Ford CEO Jim Farley just a little later this hour in an interview on Bloomberg TV. We'll bring that to you live across all of our platforms when it does happen.
And maybe just a little tease ahead of that, in this story, Jim Farley saying in a statement, the operating reality has changed and we are redeploying capital into higher return growth opportunities. So we'll look forward to that conversation Matt's going to have with Jim Farley.